Hello, this is Fabienne Fredrickson of boldheart.com. And in this episode for the Business Growth Architect Show, I will share the elements of a leveraged business that will take you from overwhelmed at six figures to seven figures with 14 to 16 weeks of vacations per year.
Hello, fabulous person. Beate Gillette here, the Growth Architect. Welcome back to the Business Growth Architect Show, where we bring you cutting-edge business strategies from some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, business transformation experts, and visionaries who want to help you to scale your impact. Look for one tangible strategy that you can take back and implement right away. And now back to our guest. Hello and welcome, Beate Gillette here, the Growth Architect. Today, I am, oh my gosh, what would I say? Let's just say you are going to be drinking from the fire hose. My guest today is Fabienne Fredrickson, and I think she's calling us out of France. And we are going to be talking all about systems and leveraging and making stuff happen and making it happen fast. Fabienne, I am so excited to have you.
I'm happy to be here. Let's give some value today.
Exactly. So with you, I'm going to switch up my original question because I always say, we're a strategic podcast. What strategy for you? But I think with you, I should ask, what is systems for you? What does that mean for your business?
So just to give some context, what I do in life is to help women get from overwhelmed at six figures to seven figures with their life back. And the thing that I always say, Beate, is what got you here won't get you there. The way to leverage to $1 million in your business is to do less better. And part of that is the role of the business owner is to shift from the doer to the thinker. And the way to do that is to have the business owner remove himself from the day-to-day operations of the business. And that means they need to trust their team, and that means they need systems. So if you want to let go of being the one who puts out fires all day long in the business, you need to trust your team and no longer helicopter parent them, if you will, helicopter manage them. And that means everything needs to be documented. Everything needs to be so well systemized and proceduralized that it can continue to produce results consistently, even if you're not there, especially when you're not there.
I really like that. I mean, you and I, we probably could, spend days talking about systems and strategies, reverse engineering and workflows and putting things together. But I think that what I like about the way you're formulating this is that there is a massive mindset shift that has to occur in the head of the entrepreneur, business owner, visionary leader. Let's talk about that a little bit because in my experience, and I don't know if you experience the same thing, there is such a love story of the owner to what they've created that it's very difficult for them to imagine that anyone but them can do what they do. So what could you tell a business owner who's listening to this? I'm like, that sounds really great, but let's face it, I'm the only one who can do this.
Yeah, there's the nobody will do it like me. My clients only want me. My clients will only get results from me. If I leave, the clients will leave. There's all that. But honestly, even underneath that set of belief systems, there's a whole emotional need that is set up in the sense that one's business is the source of feeling significant, feeling needed, feeling like I call it the hero syndrome. Da, 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 I am here to the rescue and I will hold your hand, client. And because of me, you will get results. And when you ask a business owner to no longer be involved in the results production process, to no longer be running the business. There is an identity shift that is required that they may not realize they don't want to let go of. They don't want to let go of feeling significant, needed, seen, be the hero. And so one of the things that I share with my people is your business is not the place to get your emotional needs met. Go feel needed by your kids, by your spouse, by a charity, by, something else. But this can, for your business to scale to seven figures, and I've been at seven figures for 15 years, multiple seven figures. I had to go through all of this. Who am I without being in my business? But when you can separate the two and say, my clients can get results without me if I let them, then you go get your needs met elsewhere.
That is a powerful truth bomb. I think, and if I'm very honest here, Fabienne, I think for me, my business has always been always a safety, because that's where, especially I think for those of us who have gone through trauma and had to find other places where they can get their self-esteem and their love and appreciation from, it's probably an easy one to build it so that it gives you that love and support. Now, let's make this personal. Let's say I cannot shift out of that. What will happen to my business if I continue to use my business as my love replacement, so to speak, or my appreciation replacement, or my feel good replacement? Because I think this is happening for many, many, many owners.
So what I want to say is you can continue. You can continue at this level, being required for everything, becoming the bottleneck in the company because everything needs to be approved or touched by you before it goes out the door. You can absolutely stay there, but I'll give you some scenarios. Your business will never fully grow by exponential means. You will not be able to impact more and more people. You'll probably stay at this level. And listen, I'm not a negative Nelly. I'm an optimistic person, but what happens is at the end of your career, because everything's dependent on you, there's no leveraged intellectual property. There's no leveraged business model. There's no leveraged team. There are no leveraged SOPs and processes and things like that. So I'll give you an example. This client of mine a few years ago, she was an interior designer. We took her to $1 million in her business in 3 years. She told on one of our calls, she told us about this more mature interior designer in her town who came to her office, knocked on the door and said, hi, you may not know me. I'm so-and-so, and I've been an interior designer for 35 plus years. And I came to see if you wanted some of my swatches and samples and everything. I've got all these things. I'm closing down my business. I'm retiring. And my client, Kathy, said, so you've been in business for 35 years and this is it? You're shutting the doors? And Kathy realized that the woman she had built a job for herself, not a legacy. It's her business was so reliant on her that when she's no longer there, she can't sell the business for millions. She doesn't have the right processes and systems in place. It can't be delegated, automated, duplicated, have many me's doing the work. It was all dependent on her, which is fine. But I don't know about you. I've been in business for 21 years. At the end of the road, I either want to sell it for millions, I want it to continue, I want it to expand. That's the selfish part. I also want all my intellectual property, all my processes to continue to help hundreds of thousands of people down the road. So both are fine. It's just What do you want your exit game to look like? I know most of us don't think about the exit game, but if we want to exit at some point in our lives, whether it's a buyout or something that you hand down to your kids, do you want to have something to show for your business, or do you want to hold on to it because it made you feel significant that you were the one flipping the burgers or making the beds, you know?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about that. I find, especially right now, that there is so much opportunity, especially with SOPs, standard operational procedures, workflows, done with you because people are so tired and overloaded with everything that's going on that there is phenomenal opportunity. And we are going to talk about leveraging right after this quick message. Thank you so much for listening to the show. This is Beate, the growth architect. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for your time. Have you ever wondered why your business is not growing as quickly as you would like it to be? Well, you may have a business growth blocker. And if you'd like to find out what that business growth blocker is, go and take our brand new quiz at growthblockerquiz.com. And in only a few minutes, you're not just going to find out what that blocker is, but also what to do about it. Again, go to growthblockerquiz.com. And now back to the show. And welcome back. This is Beate with our excellent guest, Fabienne, and we're talking today about systems and leveraging. So I know that one of your favorite strategies, and I'm just going to give this away, is leverage. So will you take us through what leverage is and how can we leverage and what does it even mean?
The concept of leverage when it comes to business, if you look it up, most people are talking about investments and leveraging other people's money. The way that I approach leverage is to start thinking, have you ever heard of something like somebody trying to lift a really big boulder on their own? They're not going to do that. But if they have a lever, right, and they can push down on something, they can lift the boulder. That is an example of getting bigger results with less effort. Bigger results, less effort. Doing less better. Working less, thinking more. And I'm the same way in the kitchen. I cook a lot, and I'm always looking at how can I get fantastic wow results with just 3 ingredients and 10 minutes on a dish. It's this idea of having some approaches. I'll break it down for you even further. It's really the Pareto principle in action. The Pareto principle, if you're familiar with it, is that the concept that it's the 80-20 rule. The 80% of your results will produce 80% of your effort will produce 20% of your results. Conversely, 20%, some of the things you do, 20% of what you do during the day will produce 80% of the results. And I'm thinking, I've got the choice. I can work, let's say, 8 hours a day to produce 20% of results, or I can work 2 hours a day to produce 80% of the results. And this 20 to 80, that's leverage. If I'm looking at all the marketing activities that I could be working on, why am I spending 80% of my time on things that really don't bring in that many clients or revenues? What if I stopped doing all of those and I started doing just the 20% that brings in 80% of revenues? Do less, better. When you're hiring team members, having the team work not on busy stuff, but on exponential growth activities produces better results. If they take things off your plate, you're not going to go eat candy on your sofa. You're going to take those 6 hours or 8 hours that you got back per day, and you use a little bit of those on exponential growth activities. How do you use your time? How do you create systems so that things stop falling through the cracks and you can use your time better? How do you work with your business model so that instead of working one-to-one hours for dollars, you can work one-to-many, make so much more working half the time? That's the concept of leverage that I talk about in my book, The Leveraged Business, where we look at leverage your team, leverage your systems, leverage your time, leverage your business model, leverage your marketing, leverage your differentiation, leverage the accountability in your business, leverage a second in command who runs the team for you, runs the business for you, so you can innovate and exponentially grow your business as opposed to being in the weeds.
I love that. I mean, it is, when you say it, like I'm completely drawn into this, and I'm going, that makes so much sense. So let's talk about, what are you uh saying to a business owner who says, okay, I am in the one-to-one, I want to go to the one-to-many, but I still need the cash flow, right? Which happens also all the time. So they need to still the one-on-one. So they make the cash flow so they can create the systems or whatever the programs that go to the one-to-many. How do you shift out of that? Is it like a moment in time where you say, that's it? No more one-on-one. And then you worry about your lead generation pipeline generating enough leads for you to fill a one-to-many program. Is there a pathway we can share with our audience? Because I know that we have a lot of coaches, consultants, experts on that are listening to this. How do we help them to figure out this equation of the jumping?
Yeah, yeah. I do not recommend pulling off the Band-Aid and saying, I'm no longer doing this and I'm doing this, for several reasons. Number one, whenever I've seen, I hear a lot of the guys talk about burn the ships, burn the ships.
Burn the
And I'm
bridges,
thinking,
yes.
burn the bridges, burn the ships. And I'm thinking, yeah, but when regular people who have bills and mortgages and kids in school do that, they spiral into fear. And fear is crippling. So, no, I do not believe in that. I believe in transitions, but I'll tell you what we call it in our program. We call it dual tracking, where you continue to do things and market what is making you money now, is paying the bills. And then on the side, you're also building the new thing. In the leverage your business model, the chapter, but also the activator of our program, we talk about creating a hybrid where you continue to do what you're doing, but you start bringing in one-to-many aspects into it so that your clients begin to see what it's like, the benefits of working one-to-many, but they still have access to you. And over time, you can phase it out. But I'll tell you where it really starts. It really starts, and we talked about this just a moment ago, with the beliefs. The beliefs, the fears, the identity. It's all the stuff on the subconscious that not many people talk about when it comes to scaling a business, and I'll explain what it means. If you have a belief that they won't pay for one-to-many and that they will only get results if you're doing hours for dollars, that belief will drive your behavior. I'll explain why. I've been teaching mindset for 15 years. Your belief systems, your identity, your subconscious is what drives behavior. People don't take action from the conscious things they think. They take action from what they really believe on a subconscious level. So what that means is you can say, I'm going to change my business model tomorrow and I'm going to work one-to-many and I'm going to make $1 million in my business and I'm going to take 14 to 16 weeks of vacation a year because of it. You will, until you examine the beliefs, this is what we do in our program, examine the beliefs, look at the fears, rejigger all of these, get those things out of the way, then that person will take action. Otherwise, she will self-sabotage, she will spiral into fear, she will start and stop, be wishy-washy, and give up. The second thing that's important is to be in a community of other entrepreneurs also doing it. Here's why. Especially for women, although I know that we're speaking to both men and women here, women thrive in community.
That is true.
There is the hormone called oxytocin that feeds us. It's the bonding hormone that we feel when we have a baby, we're nursing the baby, when we're hugging, when we're with lots of other women who support us, who champion us. And here's the thing that most women do not realize is that we were bred, I'm going to talk about some controversial stuff, right? But we were bred, or at least I felt this, and reared to doubt ourselves with a
Truly.
lot of mansplaining and lots of stuff. Listen, I love the men, I love the guys, but we've only been in business for ourselves for 50 years at most.
And we had to fight for the permission to do so.
Exactly. So there's not a lot of track record here for women believing in themselves. There aren't that many women, comparatively speaking, who have, multiple seven figures with 3 little kids at home, right? I didn't have a business mentor model who had that. There is a law called the law of diminishing intent. And the law of diminishing intent states that from the time you have an idea or are presented an opportunity to the time you actually take action on it, the higher the longer the time between the idea and the action, the higher the likelihood is that you won't take action on it. Okay, I'm planting that seed to then say that isolation breeds self-doubt. So you're reading a book or you're listening to this podcast or you went to a conference or you just had this divine download. Oh my God, this is what I'm going to do with my business model. If you're by yourself, especially as a woman, the likelihood is you will talk yourself out of it within 2 days. We've all done it.
I see it all
We're
the
like
time.
so excited. What?
I see it all the time.
All the
It's
time.
really yeah, it's interesting because you have your whatever strategy calls, your uncovery calls, or whatever you call your conversations, and they get fired up and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I can finally see this makes so much sense. Yes, I do need my signature system. I finally want to be able to have it all together." And then it's like you don't even know exactly what happens. But then it's like you can feel the whole energy shift, and the energy goes into this, well, I really committed to another program. I haven't really
Mhm.
finished that entirely.
I should
Um,
probably
you know,
yeah.
the investment and this is kind of a little bit of expensive and maybe I should push it off. And you are absolutely right. I think women specifically have um that ability to then go, well, the bill for the private schools due, the kids need new clothes, Christmas is coming, we're going to need all the money. They don't think about that the investment is designed to bring in money quicker so
Yeah.
that you offset that investment. But they think about, well, if I give her the money or if I give the money to the program, then I have to recoup that money somewhere and it's going to come out of something else. And with that mindset, that's really not exactly going to work. So, what would you say to somebody, Fabian, who's listening now and who's spoken to you, spoken to me, spoken to any one of the other colleagues that we are surrounded with, and says, "Yeah, I really felt that that was the right thing, but then I backed off." What's going on? How can we help them to slay that fear dragon?
The first thing is there's several things. Number one is help them make the decision within 2 days. Number two, if it's not possible, keep reminding them of their dream, and not just of what they want to achieve, but how it will make a difference in their life. And number three, and this is what we started with, is when there is the law of diminishing intent, when a woman is in community with other women and she voices what she wants, the idea, the opportunity, when it's the right kind of intentional community as opposed to accidental community, she can then feel supported, championed, held accountable by all the other women in that community to take the actions. And so when you take a woman who's by herself working in her spare bedroom, or at the kitchen table or in an office by herself, and she has an idea, and if there's no accountability, if there's no implementation incubator in her life, if there's no community in her life, she will likely, okay? She will likely talk herself out of the big things. Conversely, if she is in a community such as Bold Heart or other communities that are out there, where there's a huge focus on accountability, daily accountability, so that there's not more than 2 days that goes by without somebody lovingly holding you accountable to what you said you were going to do and what you really want for yourself, your business, your family, your income, your impact. When there's a focus on accountability, when there is a focus on implementing, executing, and finishing what you start, and you are in a loving community of other women who see your brilliance more so than you see your brilliance, who want you to win, whatever winning means to you that day, that year, just as much as you want them, she will not let you not say yes to the opportunity. And so one of the biggest reasons, because I've worked with tens of thousands of clients, I have clients and customers, I have this unique privilege of having done this for 21 years. I can see what happens when a woman is on her own. She will not go to her dreams as fast as when she's with other high achieving, healthy ambition women who are also kind, generous, loving, compassionate, collaborative. It is the secret sauce, Beate.
Wow,
And if
I
all
mean,
women were in that community, we
yes.
would be, the world would be changed, not to sound too grandiose.
No, I mean, look, this is why I love doing these interviews and why I became a host, is because it's for conversations like this. I mean, as we're talking about things that are important to the listener, I'm taking things away, and I've been in this part where it's moving toward the one to many. And and everything you've said really resonated with me personally, because I can feel that angst, anxiety, right? That my identity that is so attached to what I've created, yet I'm a systems and strategy and workflow fanatic. And the entire idea is that the more and I've been doing this for a very long time. I built and sold a business to Bill Gates. It's not that I'm a novice, but when we have this identity, you would think you're absolutely correct. You nailed something today that I have not heard before. And so I want to make sure, and I'll be happy to spend a couple extra minutes on this to really get this clear for the audience. If the attachment to what it gives you personally, because you are not taking it out of the things that you should, your surroundings, your family, when um, somebody called it a long time ago. He says, when I recognized that I felt my family was in the way of me working more, right? That moment where you go, oh no, this is the opposite of what I am trying to achieve. And our ability to then say, is it working more so I can get more self-esteem out of achieving more by working more? And now we're getting into this complete spiral of going around and around and around. Or am I going to say, I am making a conscious choice now, starting with my mindset, starting recognizing that I am doing this to get my self esteem and fulfillment out of this, which hinders me to achieve what this business is supposed to do. Because I think that's the big wake up call of this interview that we're having right now with the fabulous Fabienne is that you must, as a business owner, recognize that you think you're doing yourself a favor or your business a favor, and you're actually working against it. Have I summed this up in somewhat along the lines of what you were saying?
Yes, absolutely. There's two distinctions I want to bring in there to hopefully take it even deeper, if I may. The
Please go
first
ahead.
one, yeah, the first one is, let's go back to identity drives behavior. I'll give you an example, maybe it'll paint the picture. When I was a business coach 20 years ago, it was little Fabienne on the phone, 30 minutes, week, the first 3 weeks of the month, 6-month program, blah, blah, blah. I knew I could see other people making 50K a month, but I couldn't see me doing that because they wanted me. Only I can produce the results. I belong, so this is like both points in there. I belonged to a mastermind at the time, and the woman who sat in the hot seat before it was my turn laid out her business model. And Beate, I was like, wow, whoa. And you know what happened? I just sat there in my seat and my mouth was open, and I I needed to see someone else do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to believe it was true. So I had to find the evidence. So this is something for you to write down if you're listening to this. Find the evidence that it exists. And I had to shed the skin. So for an entire, I asked to not go up after this woman, Maria. And I asked to have my hot seat the next day, and I sat there in the chair and I cried all day. Not the Oprah ugly cry, as she calls it, but more like quietly sobbing. And people would come and put their hand on my shoulder. Are you okay, Fabienne? And I'd
Right.
say, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just mourning the old Fabienne.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's what I would have said. It is the recognition of um the sadness of letting something go that you
Yes.
had held as a belief. Yes, I completely relate to that. Go
And
ahead.
let me tell you why it worked. Because again, left to my own devices, I would never have, if I was at home, I wouldn't have had this exposure. I call this the popcorn effect now. I don't know if you've heard me talk about the popcorn effect, but when you're in this community of high achieving women who are kind and supportive and all of that, and all of a sudden it's like popcorn. You know when you make popcorn in a pot and there's like one kernel that pops because not everything pops at once. It's like there's one woman who gets to 1 million in your community, and you're like, wow, wait a minute. She's actually like me. Like she doesn't have like anything I don't have. If I saw her in the supermarket with her kids in the cart ahead of me and they were like pushing each other around, I'd be like, I would not be able to tell she's got $1 million business a year. And then it starts to like, wow. And then pop, there's another woman and she's making 100,000 in a weekend for a launch or something like that. And she didn't have to work that much for it. And you're like, wow. Pop, 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 pop. They don't all pop at once. but the evidence keeps showing up. What it does, Beata, is it normalizes that you can do it too. So it's not necessarily this blinding flash of, I'm going to stop doing one-to-one and go one-to-many. It takes a little while first to find the evidence, to have the popcorn effect, to mourn the old identity and step into this new paradigm of, I can make twice as much working half the time. But I'll say this again, just from experience, I don't believe you can give yourself a good haircut. Transformations happen when we are witnessed. It happens in community. And so I have not seen anybody radically transform in their house on their own.
No, in a vacuum, I don't think that works. I think that it has to have some sort of a, there has to be some sort of energy exchange or a spark or a moment where something ignites. I think, from my own experience and having watched this and, and creating these processes for others, um, you can see that there is a moment where suddenly there is this shift where they look different, they talk different. It's like an internal energy explosion. And you say, whoa, there she is, or there he is, it's like, where's that coming from? It's
Yeah.
because suddenly that layer has been pulled off. But I love what you had said about your experience share of you sitting there and crying. I do believe we need to give ourselves that permission to mourn that previous person, because we are letting go something that has brought us to this point. And that's how we started this interview, where you said what brought you here isn't going to get you there. In order for you to take that suitcase from the Paris train station to go to the Normandy, you can't go back to where you came from. It's a direction that you're going. And if we were to remind ourselves that the emotion is not an angry negative emotion but a releasing emotion, then maybe it would be easier for somebody going through this transformation to say,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm kind of okay with that. And again, it's want to point this again out for our listeners here, that this has personal relevance. What happens to us that you and I are speaking today has very personal relevance. I've had nights and nights and nights of waking up, crazy dreams, my stomach's out, I'm not feeling good. I feel the transformation, and I'm like, why am I so heavy and down? And now in this conversation, and I'm interviewing you for my podcast, and yet here I am, the absolute benefactor of this, saying, now you help me to clarify something, that it is this sadness of having made that decision to let that go because I know it's not serving me. But there is that, well, but it's been a really good run. I've been doing this for a very long time. I have clients, people are happy, but it is not satisfying or fulfilling anymore. So for our listeners, we're going a little bit longer here, but I really want to bring this piece to you because Fabienne is really extraordinary in the way she does these things, that you also, as you're listening, especially as we're in a world right now where there's so much uncertainty and change and fear, that you understand some of these underlying emotions, mindset, and putting yourself firmly in charge of your own destiny by running your businesses more systematically and looking at other examples that are doing it and then going for it yourself. Fabienne, any last words? And then I want you to tell us where we can find you.
I the what I want to say as a last word is anything is possible, however cheesy that sounds, right? Whatever you set your mind to, you can have. And so get clear on what you want, deal with the mindset, Reverse engineer how to do it. You use those words at the beginning, but don't do it in isolation. It'll take 10 years to do in isolation, something you can do in 6 months or a year when you're in the company of others. That is my hack. In fact, I would invite anybody that's really curious about this community thing that we're talking about to go to YouTube and to type in Bold Heart Business Documentary. I hired a filmmaking team to come and film me and our members for a full week, and she came back with a 9-minute documentary, and she said, "This is why it works." And when I show this 9-minute documentary to women, most of them have tears well up in their eyes, and they say, "Wow, I need that."
I get it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So how do we find out more about you?
You can go to boldheart.com. That is a great place to read about what we do. You can get the book, The Leveraged Business. It's there, I believe, on the top right. How overwhelmed 6-figure business owners get to 7 figures with their life back. You can find me on all of the socials, but let's start at Bold Heart. Read the success stories, if only to stretch your feeling of possibility of what's possible for you. Allow the evidence to help you normalize that this can happen for you too. Again, that's boldheart.com.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. We'll put all of this, of course, on the show notes. Fabienne, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you for sticking with this interview, even though we definitely went longer than we usually do. But when we have brilliance in the room, we recognize it. So I honor you. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you.
And cut. Wow, that was like I knew this was going to be drinking from the firehouse.
You're amazing. You're amazing. I enjoyed it. You were so real. Sometimes people interview and it's just so, robotic. Like I could tell you were really asking the questions, really engaged. I loved it. Thank you. I loved being on the receiving end of you.
Yeah, I mean it's really and I mean everything I say. I don't have time for bullshit. I think that the part that so many of us are struggling with right now is that you see it in it's within reach, right? And so and I keep waking up and it's like you're already here, you're already here, you're already here, right? But it doesn't feel like I'm already here. And I've prepped it and I've pushed it. I'm launching the programs on the mass. I mean, it's all in motion. The seeds have all been planted, but it's not happening yet because it's in that piece. So when I saw this morning that you were on my calendar, I'm like, man, this is gonna be so
What timing.
yeah, and David Nagel is coming in a couple of days, the mindset coach, which will be also amazing. But I really truly believe that. But you're absolutely fantastic. I mean, I know why you're so successful and certainly something to aspire to have the same kind of impact that you are having. Because that's what it is, it's like how big of an impact do do you really want to make in the world? And
That's
if you
it.
do one-on-one, you're making what, 20? You're not making thousands. And so that's the thing. But boy, the messy middle is just brutal sometimes.
Yeah. How can I be of service to you?
I think I just want to hang around you a little bit. I'll definitely take a look and check out what you're doing. I mean, my specialty, like the thing where I shine probably better than most anybody I've ever met, is I know how to build systems, signature systems, to help people take all these different pieces, put it under one umbrella, uh, give it a name, give it a symbol, a graphic, a design, and then have them sort of understand how to take that one piece, cut it into slices, and build the whole transformation piece, right? And then have that be the sales tool, the transformation tool, where they then don't talk about I, which is, in the system and the strategy part, so critical because you say, well, you're in the first piece, you're in the second piece, you're in the third piece, so that you precede all the sales, you have your diagnostic tool, and you guide people through the process. And the more I, you know, the more I think about it, like if you were to take everything away from me and there was one thing that I wanted to do, that would be the one thing I would wanted to keep, right? I could let go of the growth planning, which I love, but I'm not excited as much as I am about the system. I like the I like so many different pieces of this. I like the client attraction system because without that you got nothing. But I don't like it as much as I like the system building. And so I keep feeling, that I need to go deeper into that. And so if you have any words of wisdom or something comes to you, please do reach out and any words of wisdoms, guidance or experience, where you say, well, what I see, this is where people really struggle. That's where the opportunity is. That would be fantastic, and very helpful for me
I
because
will leave you, I will leave you with these words is I think people are waiting deep down, waiting for permission, and the permission train is not coming. You have to give yourself permission. And I don't know if you're any open to spiritual principles or anything
yes,
like that.
I'm all over that. Yes.
Okay. So the quote that I'm most known for around the world is the following: the things you are passionate about are not random, they are your calling. You have this passion for the systems.
I do.
And I have chills everywhere. So this is the divine, yeah. So this is the divine confirming what I'm saying for me and for you. So the thing you are passionate about is what is your calling. If the divine, just going to say what I want to say, the divine gave you this. It didn't come from you. It's coming through you.
I'm channeling it. Yes.
Yes. So everything else is a crutch and a false safety net. You don't, when you do this, coming from the divine, you don't need a safety net, but you just need to raise your faith enough to dual track to make this happen.
Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
yourself permission.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I've watched myself. I do everything but that. And yet I know that that's the thing I'm most passionate about. It's really interesting. It's almost like I'm seeing myself. Uh, And I'm going like, I see an opportunity here, I see an opportunity there. But then at the end of the day, I'm going like, well, this is really the thing that I'm most passionate about. This is very helpful. You're absolutely amazing. I mean, what a treat. Let's record your intro in the chat following the script. So I'll give you a minute to take a look at that and I'll pin you to the top. And while I am still like taking in everything you just said,
Okay.
and whenever you're ready.
Okay.
And if you need more than one take, we can do that, of course.
Okay. Hello, this is Fabienne Fredrickson of boldheart.com. And in this episode for the Business Growth Architect Show, I will share the elements of a leveraged business that will take you from overwhelmed at six figures to seven figures with 14 to 16 weeks of vacations per year.
And cut. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And how can I support you, Fabienne?
I just really like knowing you. I really like you already. Um, I want to say something, but I don't know if it's appropriate.
Go ahead. It's fine. I don't believe in coincidences. I know that there was a reason why we were talking today. So say what you want to say.
I would really like for you to go watch that 9-minute documentary on YouTube.
All right.
And if it ever makes sense, tap us on the shoulder because you are one of us and you would thrive. I'm not looking to pick up a client, but I would love to be on your journey to get you those results.
I
If it
appreciate
ever
that.
feels right. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And maybe we were meant to stop here. But either way, I believe that you can do it.
Right. Thank you so much, Fabienne. And we'll reach out and we'll send you the graphics and stuff to cross promote. It's going to take a couple months to get this out, but it'll come at the right time. You've been absolutely amazing. It's probably been one of my favorite interviews. So I thank
Oh,
you so
thank you.
much
That
for
means
doing
so
this.
much to me. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you know when someone is real, and I work a lot with intuition, and I really felt that sincerity. You're incredibly well spoken, very deliberate and thoughtful in your responses, and definitely very aspirational. So yes, I thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. This will
Well,
be
that means a
wonderful.
lot to me. Thank you. Sending you big
Thank
hugs
you.
and talk
Bye,
soon.
Fabienne. Take
Bye.
care.
You too.
And that's it for us today. Thank you for listening and watching the Business Growth Architect Show. I enjoyed having you here. And for accountability, just take one of the strategies that you have heard, one thing that you can implement in your business immediately. Please leave comments. Don't forget to like and share this show. And if you have any questions about business, please put them in the comments. We are here for you. We're here to support you and help you to grow, build, and scale your own business. For more advice, please check out our website in the show notes below. Thank you again. This is Beate Gillette, the Growth Architect, and goodbye.